This is what I got this morning from my buddy who plays the game. A few notes. I just woke up. I'll have to check with Vasco. So as far as fully explorable planets go, when you land on the planet you get a gigantic region you can explore that's probably 30 minutes in every direction. However, that direction is capped off. You then need to go to your map and select a point on the planet to make a new landing zone, which then generates another area. So you cannot start at the landing part of your ship and walk all the way around the planet. Next, something I found that I'm not a big fan of, but you don't have to use it if you don't want to. You can fast travel pretty much anywhere. You don't even have to be in your ship to fast travel to a different planet. However, you do have to be in the system that the planet is in the fast travel to it. You also have had to discover it previously. Personally, I'm not a big fan of this. I feel like it takes more time out of your spaceship. As of right now, I have not ran into many activities in space. I'm hoping that they are going to load more and make travel and being in my ship more immersive and give me more to do in space. You can change your cosmetics on planet Mars, so if you don't like the way your face came out, no problem. However, it could be on multiple planets. I've only been to Mars and New Atlantis. So far the combat still feels really nice. No bugs yet, a few frame rate stutters and one pop in last night. I did enter a security booth last night and was not stopped and could explore freely. I felt like it was a little immersion breaking. But this is definitely a Bethesda title through and through. I have yet to test the boundaries on theft or murder, or if there are restricted places entering them. Fast travel seems to be very prevalent. If you don't want to walk somewhere and you have been there before, you can fast travel to it. Not something that has to be used. You can just manually walk your ship, get into your ship, take off, and then plot a course once you're in space. But because there's no manual takeoff and manual landing, you're only in space for a few seconds, and flying around the system doesn't make sense unless there's an activity. Again, I hope they add more things to do in space. However, one thing I found quite incredible is the system is alive. So if you land on a moon and the sun sets on the moon, you can watch it set and see the sun's location change on the planets above you until it comes back around. Quite amazing. I haven't gotten into factions yet. I do feel like space travel being so confined to the map and selecting a landing destination and not traveling to it would limit encounters in space. So far it has. I haven't really run into anything. In fact, I haven't spent much time in my ship at all because everything is so one button in the map. The music is amazing. So far the voice acting is great. Character animations are Bethesda animations and totally fine and work for me. People go to sleep, wake up, seems like they have schedules. The graphics are amazing, they look great. Really a burst of environments. I didn't even explore New Atlantis cause it seemed so big. Same with Mars. I'm walking around right now. I can give you more of a concrete idea about space travel and ship combat and the use of my ship when I'm doing it more. As of right now, I have only been using it as a travel device. Kind of sticking to the main story to see if it introduces me to these mechanics as we go along. Edit 1, update from the buddy. I'm also testing the region theory again. If when you land on a planet you can only fast travel to points the planet and explore those randomly generated squares like tiles and not go any further. I feel like Top and the crew might allied pretty hard on that one. A creative lie, but a lie. However, when you land in those tiles you get a bunch of points of interest. I'm walking up on 2 landed ships right now. I'm going to see if I can hijack them and take them. Then the other thing is there are a bunch of points of interest in space while you're in your ship that I haven't done any of. So there are activities, but I have not engaged in them. It does not look like I can change the language in the menu I am in. I probably have to save the game, go to the main menu and then check. So I'm on Mars and I just landed in an area, went exploring and found a processing facility with dudes just chilling. Really amazing. A ship came down and landed in front of me. Amazing. So as of right now the regional boundaries aren't bothering me that much. I think it's more of the fact that I feel like it was kind of a lie, but I'm still testing it so I can't say it's concrete yet. Edit 2. I will say that if my regional tests are correct, it's going to be the biggest point of contention of the game. Granted, when you land on the planet, the regions that are generated with it, activities in said regions, it could keep you occupied for hours. And it's just 2 or 3 planets I've been to. I went to Earth last night and it's one giant desert planet. I tried going to specific landmarks with no luck, but didn't really test it to the full extent. I can confirm boundaries are reached on landing sites. I also did a cluster of landing sites to see if they connected to make one big boundary, and they do not. Edit 3. Yes, I do believe I have not visited enough systems to get space points of interest. I showed you on the map last night that there are space points of interest that I have not engaged in. I can confirm boundaries are reached on landing sites. I also did a cluster of landing sites to see if they connected to make one big boundary, and they do not. Planets being fully explorable are a grid system depending on where you land, and it generates a square of explorable land with points of interest, but there are boundaries. You cannot walk from the North Pole to the South Pole on a planet. It was a creative lie. So you can press A to select a planet in front of you and then fast travel to it. You don't have to go to your map. I just ran into the serpents, which is definitely part of the main quest. I've done a few things that I saw in the showcase. You can land on Earth, but it's all rocky desert. I tried to look for landmarks with no luck. Edit 4. One thing I'll say too is Bethesda really didn't work hard to make this seamless. I just boarded a ship, and you can either fast travel from your seat to the ship you just boarded, or manually get out of your seat, walk down and enter through the docking bay. But the docking bay has a minor loading screen. Walking into buildings also has loading screens like old Bethesda titles. Someone will walk up to a door and fade out when they open it, just like all other titles. Edit 5 on exploring planets TBU. Yeah, if I had to give you my honest opinion, fully explorable planets is a clever lie. Technically you can land in multiple spots on the planet, and technically that means the whole planet is explorable. But the whole planet doesn't exist outside of those squares. Like it exists in the solar system, but it doesn't have an entire surface that's mapped out procedurally, it's only those squares. Here's the problem: those squares don't exist if you don't land on them. It's not like it's a whole bunch of squares connected that you get to pick and choose from. It's just the surface of a planet. You select where you want to land and then you land there and a square is generated. I tried making 4 landing spaces directly next to each other and it didn't make the area any bigger. Each one of those areas were separate and not connected. Big update, turns out I got the designated landing part stuff wrong, and you can land on anywhere you select on a planet. Here is the buddy explaining it. No. This was before I had gotten really into the game and learned that I could do that. They don't ever explain it. There are designated landing zones on the planet, but they're only like big points of interest. Cities, mining stations, etc. After I discovered I could just select a spot on the planet and land wherever I wanted, I tested it to see the boundaries. There are designated landing zones and then landing zones that you can just create by clicking on the planet. But like I said, once you land, I believe it generates that boundary tile. Then if you want to go to a different part on the planet, you can just click on a different part and go there. But I do not believe that these tiles exist without you landing there. It's not like you can go from one tile to the other on foot. So if you look at the picture I just sent you, you can see there are 3 landing zones. One of them I found all the points of interest on. I created that one. The other 2 I created as well because there are no main landing spots on Earth. Those 2 I didn't explore fully. The one glowing in gold is the one that I just created and I can land on. But if I clustered all of those together, they don't exist next to each other. I can't walk from one to the other. I believe once I land, they procedurally generate a square. In that square they populate with points of interest.